The next unit we'll be going over in our Axis and Allies 1940 Global 2nd Edition tutorial series is the Battleship. This is the most expensive combat unit in the game, being 20 IPCs. It costs 20. It has an attack and defense value of 4, and it moves 2 spaces, just like all the other ships. The Battleship also has a handful of special abilities. 2, to be clear. So, it's a capital ship, just like an aircraft carrier, meaning it takes 2 hits to destroy. So, you're in a battle. Instead of just removing the ship from play, you'll just turn it on its side, indicating it's taken damage. And when it gets back to your turn, if it's parked at one of your friendly naval bases, you'll be able to flip it back up over, and you'll be good to go. If not, it'll remain in its damaged state until you can manage to limp back to a friendly naval base, in which case it'll be repaired. Its other ability is called Offshore Bombardment. This applies to amphibious assaults, so when you're taking a transport and dropping some guys off on enemy territory, your battleship will get to fire. Now, the way this works out of box is you pair each battleship or the other unit that has offshore bombardment. You can have a maximum of however many ground units you have landing. So if you have 4 ground units landing, up to 4 of your battleships and or the other unit that can do this can fire on the enemy positions. So you'll roll, you'll get your hits and whatnot, but the defender still gets to fire back in the out-of-box rules. I don't like playing with that because it just seems dumb. The way I do it is I act like it works almost like an AA gun. If a battleship hits it, it's just removed before combat even starts, so you don't get to fire back. Either way's fine. I just prefer the improved bombardment house rule. You can also decide to do it where it's each battleship, instead of pairing up with each individual unit, you pair it with each transport. Either way, it doesn't really make that big of a difference. You're not going to have 8 battleships on the board. I mean, who knows? Maybe you will. I wouldn't build a lot of battleships. This unit seems really awesome. You know, you can just have it the whole game. It might not be destroyed. The problem is it's so expensive and you only have one of them. This is the problem with all big units in games or super weapons or anything like that. You have a limited number of them, meaning they can't really be in that many places at once. So if you're doing stuff in the South Pacific, the enemy can just move their fleet to the North Pacific and you can do nothing about it because you only have 1 or 2 ships down there. That might be irrelevant, but I'm just not a fan of battleships. For 20 IPCs, you can get better odds if you buy a combination of different ships, and you'll have more options, more flexibility. You'll be able to split those ships up and whatnot. In most cases, you'll be able to buy 2 ships, sometimes 3, depending on which ones you go for. And if you put it into a battle calculator, odds are those 2 to 3 ships are going to win. But moving on. What powers like battleships? For the entire group of naval units, you're going to see very similar nations listed that like these. So, the United States likes battleships. Italy likes battleships, but they'll probably not be able to afford them. The UK can get use out of battleships. And Japan enjoys battleships as well. But for all those powers, I really wouldn't build that many. Most of them start with 1 or more. But I'm just not super fond of them. I'd rather get a carrier and some planes in a battleship, or even 2 destroyers. But if you need something that's going to have a good chance of getting a hit, sure, a battleship can do something for you. If you have a bunch of like subs and you need something that's going to hit on a 4, sure, a battleship can do it. But I just don't think it's super efficient. The Soviet Union, don't ever build battleships as them. Don't build naval units as the Soviet Union. If you do that, you're having a strange game. France is irrelevant. Germany, I wouldn't build them in most circumstances. The only thing I can like see is maybe 2 scenarios. Either you're going heavy into like Sea Lion and you're trying to take out the UK, you're trying to take London, or you went into like southern France or Greece, you put a factory down, and you're trying to help Italy control the Mediterranean. But then again, like everything else I've talked about in this video, I really think that you can get better results with other ships, mostly subs and destroyers. Battleships are just too expensive, and for what you get, they're just too much. Although they are one of the best units at convoy disruptions, which I'll talk about in a later video when we get to submarines, or maybe its own dedicated one. But I wouldn't blow 20 IPCs on a unit that's just going to steal a little bit of money from somebody. So yeah, that's the Battleship.